Wow, what a finale. What a genius setup for season 4 that has already been greenlit. It can't get here soon enough. It was a ridiculous wait between seasons 2 and 3. That was, I think, largely due to the pandemic, so hopefully we'll get season 4 a lot sooner. Now, some of you thought Homelander was going to lose his powers, and they did do a very good job with that fake out, making it seem like that was the path they were going down. And he almost did lose his powers, in fact, until of all people, Ryan stepped in and saved him. But that Homelander, it seemed that Homelander would spend season 4 knowing what it's like to be at the very bottom. But surprise, he's actually going to have the exact opposite situation, because they set him up for season 4 where Homelander is at the very top. His son has chosen him over Butcher, and when he goes to introduce his son to his fans, including Todd, by the way, at least he didn't take MM's daughter that time, a Starlight fan throws trash at Ryan, hitting him pretty hard. And Homelander loses his temper and kills that guy, but the crowd loves it, which, by the way, is a direct nod to Trump's infamous comment that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away from it. Homelander can't believe it. He can't believe the crowd's okay with it, and all of his dreams come true. He no longer has to hide who he is. Vought's always been telling him to be super careful and watch what he does. His instincts aren't good. He doesn't know what he's doing. Turns out he does. He doesn't have to keep his powers in check. Remember all the times he's dreamed of lasering people, right? Remember that fake out in season 2 that we all thought was actually going to happen, but he was just imagining it? Well, this time he actually did it, and there were no repercussions. And he can show off the child he got through rape very proudly, and everyone thinks it's awesome. And everyone loves him. He's beloved. And you know what's even scarier? Ryan feels pretty good about this too. He's like, I could get used to this. Now, how did this happen? How did Ryan get turned? Well, I think a lot of the fault lies in Butcher and Mallory, who it turns out had a fatal flaw in their parenting approach, making Ryan feel guilty about his powers and hating himself for killing Becca and Stormfront. Remember, he tells Kimiko he wishes that, they both say they wish they never had their powers. But then along comes Homelander, who got Ryan's location from Newman. That was the address that she gave him. And he gives Ryan a get-out-of-jail-free card. Like Butcher, to protect Ryan, supposedly, he pushed Ryan away by saying he hated Ryan for what Ryan did to Becca. But Homelander, and then I think very, very interestingly, Ryan assumes that Homelander must hate him as well because of what happened with Stormfront. And Homelander says he not only forgives him, but he understands him. This dialogue was brilliant. These are accidents. Sometimes we hurt the things we love most, which is chilling, right? Like you're actually the most danger if these people love you. And Homelander says, nobody understands that better than me. And again, it's a get out of jail free card. It's very alluring. Homelander, in stark contrast to Butcher, again, making them really the yin and yang of the show, Homelander says, I will always love you. I will always be there. And that seals the deal. Ryan goes with him, finally. Not speaking of the deep, but the deep ocean of grays of this show, rather than black and white, is what makes The Boys so fascinating and so compelling, because it's a lot like real life. I mean, as an audience, it's hard for us, knowing what we know about Homelander, I think, not to be moved by his love for his son. I think that temporarily moves Butcher here and maybe makes Butcher not make the decisions that he needs to. But I think that a lot of that is not only credited to the writers, but to Anthony Starr's really brilliant acting. Actors often say when they're playing the villain, it's not a villain to them. And I think Anthony Starr has done that so well playing Homelander. And now that Homelander has a real family, he goes about getting rid of the old fake one, the Seven. This was incredible stuff. This is such a great episode. Black Noir tries to warn Homelander about how evil Soldier Boy is, but Homelander understandably feels, hey, that's what people would say about me, and that would be unfair, because he assumes father like son, which of course he finds out is not the case. And Black Noir, ironically, gets killed by the bully anyway, the son of the father. And when that cartoon figure faded away in Black Noir's helmet, I mean, the second time around, especially that I watched that, I thought that was great. And Homelander even feels very bad about killing Black Noir because they had a connection. he points out that only he could see beneath the mask, the scars, the flaws. Black Noir was supposed to be this machine, but only Homelander knew he was very human. He wasn't a mystery to Homelander, so that made Homelander particularly feel like they were connected. But Homelander can't forgive Noir, knowing that Homelander had a father all this time who was still alive. And of course, that's all that Homelander ever really wanted. Now, Homelander then goes to what's left of his team. I loved when he says, "I had hoped that this would be my family, and instead I got you." And the way he said that and the look on his face was such disgust. But he still is like, let's just keep going with this. We're going to make it work. We're going to make this pig's ear a silk purse. I thought that stuff was great. Who hasn't sometimes felt that way? And he says, Black Noir was worth more than all of you put together. I don't need any of you remember that. And I think what he's saying there is if I'd killed Black Noir, who I actually liked, I wouldn't think twice about killing any of you. And Homelander indeed sees all. He's been very powerful this whole time for the show, all through all the seasons. But I do really like how they've played up his other senses. That he sees all. I think that's great through seeing and hearing, his super hearing and his X-ray vision and all that. I think that's great. Like, for instance, he knows Ashley has been wearing a wig and he makes her take it off, which is an incredible visual because finally her outside matches her inside. That was I loved that. He asks the Deep for a treasonous secret favor, which we'll discuss later on in this breakdown. And he knows that A-Train killed his own kind. So he makes A-Train double down on that, and he says, you have to tell the world that the Seven is the only group that truly delivers justice. What he's saying is that the Seven is now judge, jury, and executioner, which is what A-Train did. So now A-Train has to be the face of that. And that's so ironic, because A-Train's brother feels that A-Train robbed him of his justice by secretly murdering Blue Hawk, and so that nobody would ever know about that. So that Vought's secrets could stay hidden and that ugly truth wouldn't be revealed. And A-Train's brother tells him he never wants to see him again. I thought that was just incredible. I think A-Train still remains a really hateful character, which I think is very gutsy of this show. It's also very powerful to see 3 generations of alphas standing together. The most powerful supers. I loved when Ryan was like, "Hi, Grandpa." And it's very funny because Jensen Ackles actually looks a lot younger than Anthony Starr. So it's that's just, of course, casting. But I think that's interesting because it makes Homelander actually seem more vulnerable, and I think that makes him a little more sympathetic, which is interesting. And maybe it all would have worked if Homelander could have reached his father the way he reached his son. But it turns out that Soldier Boy is maybe a bit more like Butcher, or Butcher's father, right? Who Butcher's also very much like. But it seems that maybe Soldier Boy truly is between those two, which is also fascinating because at two ends of the spectrum, you have Homelander and Butcher on this show, and then they very strategically placed Soldier Boy right in the middle, which makes him a very interesting character, not just this season, but potentially going forward. Now, this also all makes me wonder who Homelander's mother is, because he clearly takes more after her than he does Soldier Boy's. Will that be a season 4 thing? Now that there's a face to Homelander's father, he's never really, I think, thought about this before. Will he maybe try to find his mother to make up for how things went down with Soldier Boy, maybe for Ryan's sake? I think that could be really interesting. He does have a bit of a mommy fetish, so, good luck to that woman. Or maybe she's also horrible. We also hear Soldier Boy's real origin story with his own father. A big theme of fathers and sons here. He's actually the washed-up son of a wealthy family. He's not some poor kid who made it big. He's a rich kid who was a disappointment to his father. And he signed up for the Vought trials to make his father finally proud. But his father said, "You cheated. You took a shortcut." And he still dismisses him. And then when Soldier Boy finally comes face to face with Homelander, who Butcher is saying, "He's not your son. You didn't name him. You didn't raise him." And Soldier Boy hears all this talk from Homelander about being a human and having this connection and love and all that stuff. And I thought, by the way, it was interesting that Homelander was watching old reels of his father while wearing the flag on his back literally as a cape. And Soldier Boy selling that crap, that patriotic crap that we all know is a lie. But Homelander's eating it up. He just loves it because, it plays into what Homelander believes, what he's been told about himself and what he's come to believe about himself. But Soldier Boy feels Homelander is weak, a disappointment, the exact same thing his father said to him, which I think is interesting. And I think I don't think genetics are that strong. I think there's some irony to it that Soldier Boy, I think, realizes. But I also think Soldier Boy just, even though he said it, I think he said it just to try and win Homelander over last episode, to get his guard down. I don't think Soldier Boy at all wants to hand the spotlight over to anybody. And I think that when he's faced with his replacement, it dawns on him that he doesn't know this guy. This isn't really his son. He has nothing to do with him. It's just a genetic connection. And I think Soldier Boy's like, I want my crown back. And also maybe the grandpa line pushed him over the edge. He's like, Grandpa, this has got to stop. Anyway, they almost get Homelander with both Butcher and Maeve, the two big guns holding him down for Soldier Boy. But it's Ryan who blasts Soldier Boy to save his own father. And then when Soldier Boy turns on Ryan, well, that makes Butcher turn on Soldier Boy. And to see Homelander and Butcher team up, laser visions unite, after they just reminded each other of their pact for scorched earth, that was amazing. Oh, I love it. And that also really underscores that they're adversaries, but they also have such a strong connection. But Maeve doesn't care about any of this. Homelander's got to go. I mean, she barely escaped his prison. The only reason that she did is that Ashley and the Deep felt they had to move her because of all of Annie's social media complaining. The Attorney General was on the way over to check, and Maeve was able to escape during that move. And I think it's interesting that Homelander at first doesn't even want to fight Maeve. I think because in his own twisted way, he views her as kind of like maybe the wife that he could still have. And I will talk about that in a moment, because I think that's not going to go away. But when she makes him bleed, he takes her eye. But again, he doesn't go for the kill. He goes instead for a punishment. But she almost gets him. That rod to the ear, wow, so close. But Soldier Boy is about to take everyone out with him. As Mother's Milk, I thought this was great, finally is able to get his revenge by delivering the nerve gas, that the Russian nerve agent that Frenchie cooked up. I think it's great that MM was the one who was able to deliver it. Well, who was it? Butcher and Kimiko held him down. Was Starlight holding him down too? But I think that was great. That was just great. I was just looking at MM having his moment. I thought that was great. But Maeve chooses to abandon her own personal grudge against Homelander to take Soldier Boy out of the tower, saving everyone. And that shot of her knowing, sacrificing herself because she felt she was going to die, that was just incredible. I thought it was so moving. She not only wanted out of this life, as she said last episode, but she gets redemption for all the horrific things she did, not just with Homelander, but for Vought. And wow, what a big boom. What a big boom. The world, of course, thinks she's dead. And good for Ashley, by the way, deleting that security footage. And maybe that's the beginning of some kind of rebellion for Ashley in season 4. But Maeve, just like Homelander, gets her dream come true as well. Her days of being a superhero are over as Soldier Boy burned that V right out of her, and she can now live a peaceful life with her girlfriend, maybe on a farm somewhere. But I think Homelander is going to find her. She's too good a character to lose. And maybe, Ryan needs somewhere to spend his summers, right? Maybe Homelander will tell her, maybe he'll be like, you got to take Compound V again. Will Maeve be able to stay off the stuff? Kimiko took it again. Would she have the same good result? I think this could be really fascinating. I don't want to see Maeve disappear. But this is a great next chapter for her. It's interesting. We thought that Homelander was going to be the one to lose his powers, but instead it was Maeve, so she'll get to do that storyline. And just like I think we'd all think Homelander would get his powers back, I think Maeve will too. And I think Soldier Boy will be back too, for sure. He's still alive, this time being held by a different government, his own. Ah, beautiful. I love it. That's so great. Starlight and Hughie also have an amazing wrap-up to their storyline this season. Butcher has a change of heart at the beginning of the episode and knocks Hughie out in the bathroom of the gas station so he doesn't take any more V24. Although, as I said last week, Hughie's in the danger zone. I think he's at least taken it 4 times. But this allows Hughie and Starlight or Annie to hook up again, right? To match up. Hughie has a wonderful speech about his father. He had a very different father than Butcher, and he always felt his father was weak, that he never fought for anything. But he says he's been thinking about it, and he realizes that his dad was there for him. And that's not weakness, that's strength. That's a different type of strength. And Hughie realizes that that's part of what he's dealing with. He didn't want to be his dad, but I think he realizes that his dad is pretty awesome. I mean, Simon Pegg is amazing, right? Although I do agree that many of you have pointed out in my breakdowns, I've seen your comments, that also Hughie is still clearly not over Robin because he makes A-Train apologize for it. And that apology isn't enough. He punches A-Train. And so I think he's afraid of losing someone he loves yet again. And I think that's not dealt with either. And I think that's very good. And I hope they touch upon that in season 4. However, when they're back at the office, Hughie sees some leftover V24, and he's tempted to take it when Annie is going up. Sorry, Annie, I'm trying to, respect your wishes to be Annie January. But anyway, he sees that she's in danger from Soldier Boy. Only he doesn't try to save her, he helps her, turning up all the lights in the soundstage, and in such an amazing moment, Starlight powers up like never before, and she flies. Suddenly, Homelander isn't the only one who can fly. And so it used to be Homelander and Maeve were kind of the two most powerful beings, but I think Homelander was comfortable with that because Maeve was not quite as powerful as him. She still was a little bit below. But with Starlight powering up and also being so popular, Homelander finally has a real adversary, which is great. And it's such a nice shot of Hughie seeing her shine like that, literally very proud of his girlfriend because he was there for her, just like his dad was there for him. And Annie joins the boys, throwing away her costume. I didn't love what she was wearing. I was like, if you're not going to wear that costume, that's fine, but you need some better civilian clothes. Maybe she's still finding her look. But also, I got to tell you, I've seen couples work together before. It often does not go well. It's too much together time. Being together constantly is not great for relationships. So I think that could lead to some tension next season. But they will be distracted by Newman. I love that. They should say Newman like Seinfeld on the show. Because it turns out the favor she wanted from Homelander was having the Deep kill the VP candidate. So now she joins the ticket. Singer better watch his back because I'm sure he's next. And Homelander, of course, can get to anyone. Although I love that Homelander gave it to someone else for, to have reasonable ability to say that it wasn't him. I was like, wow, Homelander's still thinking of covering himself. And he doesn't need to do it himself. I guess Homelander is learning to delegate. But Butcher enters right after everyone was saying they weren't going to listen to him anymore. And I love that Frenchie's like, we want paid vacation days in dental. And he's sipping a 7 soda cup. I loved that. And he says, that bitch has definitely got to go. It was classic Butcher. I loved it. He's not going to die. He's not going to die for sure. But the show says that he is. It seems that he's going to go. Because thanks to V24, he's only got about a year to live. Is that the time frame for when we're going to get the next season? But anyway, what will Butcher be like when he has nothing to lose? I think he's still going to try and get Ryan back, obviously. But if he's already dying, does this mean he can keep taking V24? Now, I'm sure, just like Maeve is going to get her powers back, the Butcher will be fine. But the writers have certainly given themselves quite the hurdle to come over to figure out how to realistically make that happen. But I'm excited. I have a lot of faith in them at this point. I gotta say, I do love Butcher on V24. His fight against Soldier Boy was fantastic, particularly when he broke Soldier Boy's shield. Loved it. The ending of this season is the reverse of season 2, with this time Ryan choosing Homelander. And I think that he kind of chose Butcher too, because he's like, Dad, can we please just go? Let's leave. Because he didn't want his dad to do anything to Butcher. And Butcher did try to save him from Soldier Boy's blast. That was very moving. That's part of what got to Maeve. Now, Homelander is no longer alone, right? That was something Homelander was talking about, not wanting to be alone. But now Butcher is alone, right? He's got Hughie. And I don't know how Ryan is going to feel after a prolonged stay with Homelander. I think Ryan will continue to be torn between these two men, which I guess kind of makes Ryan like Soldier Boy, interestingly enough. He like Grandpa. Will Ryan make Homelander a better person? Will Homelander make Ryan a worse person? We'll find out. I think Homelander's a pretty imposing figure. But now that Homelander finally has everything he ever wanted, will that cause him to really let his guard down? I'm interested. Also, the Deep and Homelander portrait in the background, watching the Deep eat his feelings while his ex-wife was on TV promoting her new tell-all book. That was pretty awesome. I love that. I love that the Deep keeps that painting up. It's so great. I'm like, how often is Homelander in your room to even see this thing, man? And I think the Deep's like, you never know when he might stop by. Finally, Frenchie becomes his own man, right? Taking off the chain, calling some of the shots with his plan to make that nerve agent himself. But Kimiko, after saying she was the good guy last week so much, I felt she went a little bit too far with some of those guards. I was like, what were you saying about being the good guy? I mean, she went so far she got distracted, and Frenchie still took a bullet to the leg. I mean, so much for protecting family. And MM, after getting a very nice pep talk from Frenchie, who advised MM to just be real with his daughter because MM's a cool guy. He's a great guy, and I think MM is a great guy. So MM tells his daughter the truth about superheroes, and they killed members of their family. And then MM is continuing his own father's legacy, speaking of fathers and sons, to go out to seek out justice, what A-Train was supposed to do, what A-Train's brother wanted him to do. And I think it's great because we have a lot of fathers and sons here, but let's get a daughter in the mix. And I would not be surprised if maybe MM's daughter is interning for the boys next season. It's better than hanging out with Todd, I think, right? So what do you think of season 3 now that it's all wrapped up? And what are your hopes for season 4? We're pretty much out of comic book material. There's not that much left, even though they weren't being very faithful to it anyway. But, when Game of Thrones had to venture off onto its own, things did not go well. But again, as I just said, they have been so different from the comics already, and it's been great. I feel very confident about season 4. Let's see what happens to the boys brand. They have a spin-off show coming. I did not like Diabolical, but hopefully the spin-off show will be better. What did you think of Diabolical? But for the main show, I'm all about the main show, and I can't wait to see where this story goes next. All right, again, share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.